Time and aging is non-negotiable.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
What would you say to someone whose life has kind of fallen apart? Job loss, loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship.
You have to have a vision that literally is almost like air to breathe for you. That vision can hold you through a lot of circumstances that aren't so great right now. There are things outside of our control, but who you are and what you're meant to do while you're here on this planet doesn't change.
When you start to look 3, 5, 10 years out, life is gonna go by whether I'm intentional with how I'm using that time or not.
And it's gonna come so fast.
What's your advice on specificity around goals?
A lot of times people will write goals like around weight loss, right? I want to lose weight. Well, that's not a goal. What's the measurement and what's the time frame you want to get there by?
I want to ask you a question that I'm hoping I have permission to ask. Do you think about allowing love in again?
I knew you were going to go there.
I have a question for you. Do you have a clear, written vision for your life? If not, then today's episode is probably going to encourage you, inspire you, but also challenge you to do exactly that. I'm joined by my dear friend, Carey Conley, who is a nationally recognized speaker, author, and entrepreneur who specializes in helping leaders and small businesses create game-changing visions for their lives and for their careers. And we have this beautiful conversation today about why vision is important, yes, for all the aspirational things we want for our life, for our business, but why it's even more important for when life kind of falls apart. And Carey shares her very personal story about loss, losing both a husband and a son to suicide, and how her vision has kept her anchored into her purpose, even in the toughest of moments. Carey Conley, welcome back to Powerhouse Women.
Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this all week.
I'm like, I just want to hold your hand.
I know.
Like, it just feels so good to
keep
be
telling
in
people
person.
I want to just adopt you.
Don't tell my mom. Well, actually, my mom might be okay with sharing responsibilities. I'm a lot.
Well, then you'd be a perfect daughter for me.
I was going to say, there is a reason that we connected.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And you have just been such an expander for me. You have such wisdom. You have just the most beautiful soul and the most inspiring story and journey. And the way that you found your way to the work that you're doing is one of those journeys that, you know, when we talk about transformation, you wouldn't have chosen the life path that has led you here.
Right.
But yet you've taken circumstances in life that are really unfathomable and turned them into the deepest purpose that I think I've ever witnessed from someone who's walked through such adversity. And so I'm excited to dig into that today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you're really known, you're this world recognized speaker and visionary, and you speak on the topic of vision.
Right.
Why is vision and having a connection to our vision so important, not just to our success, but to our happiness and fulfillment?
Well, the short answer to the long answer, right, is I talk to people about having a really clear written vision for your life. And the backstory to this is that when I was in my late 20s, which was the late 80s, long time ago, I was doing the 9-to-5 gig. Like we were all told to do. Went to college, got the degree, got the 9-to-5, and I was not happy. I was changing jobs every 2 years because I just couldn't fit the mold. And I had a mentor say to me, you know, you can create your life to look however you want. You just need to get really clear on that. And so with her encouragement, I took a day off of work and with a legal pad of paper, I wrote it all out in great detail, right? The relationship I wanted to have with my husband, what I wanted to look like as a mother when we started having kids. And I started noodling ideas then, Lindsay, on different career paths, being able to work from home, being an entrepreneur, right?
Work from bed at 10 a.m.
Don't give my secrets away. We were talking about that earlier. You're not supposed to tell people. So anyway, I wrote it all out. And I still have all those pieces of paper.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. And what happened that day that I know now that I didn't know then are a lot of truths. I believe that day I was getting very divinely connected.
Yeah.
And that God was just kind of pouring out of me what my purpose was, right? Knowing what was to come in my life. And it was such an inspiring day because I just remember it just coming so easily and getting so inspired by it. So that's reason number one, is that I tell people that vision can hold you through a lot of circumstances that aren't so great right now.
Yeah.
Because it will give you hope to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it will become your anchor in all the storms of life when they hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been through some storms.
Yeah. I lost my husband in 2014 to suicide, and 3 years later lost my 25-year-old son also to suicide. This was now 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been teaching vision way before all of this happened.
Yeah.
I just feel like God really anchored that in me because he knew what was coming.
Mm.
So because of that work that I've done with now thousands of people in lots of different ways, I'm so strong in my purpose that it just got 10x'd.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
How did vision hold you through essentially in a span of 3 years, losing two significant men in your life and processing through that grief?
Yeah. Lots of different answers to that question too. One, it's God's timing is amazing. So 2 nights before my husband passed, I was invited by my business coach to become one of her associates, so to speak. And what that meant was that I was going to be learning her system of how to bring people into coaching in a year-long mastermind program. So I said yes on the spot because it was just a perfect alignment with the work that I'd been doing and to where I wanted to go next further with all of the entrepreneurs I was working with. And it was easy for me because she already had all of the templates already laid out. I didn't have to create any of it. None of the content, any of the training, none of the marketing, the logo. It was all there, Lindsay. It was like plugging into a network marketing company again,
Sure.
which we haven't talked about yet. And so I said yes. And then 2 days later, my husband passed. And because of the work that I'd already done and that was in place, it was an easy transition for me to flow right into that to keep me moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the push I needed to not shut down, to take my work and expand it.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, I did that. I ran that year-long mastermind coaching program with 4 different groups in 3 different states at one point, and kept really busy with that. And then when I lost my son, I was at a place where I was starting to get burned out. And so I finished up my clientele that I had through what I could get through, and then stopped bringing new ones in for a little while. And then I just went inward. I started doing a lot of inner work on what God was trying to teach me through this journey.
You know, now having I even think I have a different view of knowing you and knowing your story for as many years as we've known each other, you know, going through a season of loss, so different, but a season of loss myself, it just gives you more depth to understand and have reverence for the journey someone else has walked. And thinking about the vision piece, I'm actually reflecting right now on, I think that's been the hardest part for me is I think I kind of lost my vision. So what would you say to someone whose life has kind of fallen apart, right? It's either job loss, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship. You know, when I think about even the last year for me, in a moment, just, you know, in similar way, but so dissimilar, in a moment, it's like everything changes, the life you thought you were living.
Right.
So how does vision even come into play? Because all of a sudden I thought I had a vision for my life, and I did, but now it was different.
You know, I never imagined that I would be at this phase of my life without my husband and the vision we had moving forward, you know, having, retirement ahead of us and 2 kids, getting married and having grandkids. And I thought at one point he would come into business with me when I started speaking and coaching. And obviously that was not in the cards. And that's a question I get from a lot of people is, how do you even think about writing a vision when so much in your life can change, like outside circumstances outside of your control, right? And I get that. But the difference is my circumstances have changed, but who I am and my purpose has not. And that's the key that I'm getting to with people is you've got to understand that there are things outside of our control, but who you are and what you're meant to do while you're here on this planet doesn't change as long as you get anchored in it early.
Yeah.
So even though, Lindsay, you're going through different loss, right? And you talk a lot about this, that you understand you're in a season right now that you are getting ready to expand again and that it's okay. It's not the way you thought it was going to be, but you are so confident and so anchored in who you are that you are getting through it with a lot of grace.
I was just having this conversation with several people over the last couple of days, and even I was sharing transparently on the phone with you. You know, I think I've allowed people to see the strong version of me through this.
Yep.
because it's not actually appropriate for me to turn on a podcast mic when I'm in the middle of like the true breakdown and those moments that are just as real. But there has been like a true power to, even when people had said, you know, how did you show up and lead the Powerhouse Women event in the middle of everything unraveling.
Right.
But it was actually such an anchor for me because I remembered that there was something bigger for me as a soul beyond what I could see happening right in that moment.
Yeah.
So what were those things for you in that season? Like, what were the things that had you tethered to your vision, even when you were there were days that I couldn't get out of bed. I would just cry.
Yeah.
And maybe in that moment, I didn't feel completely connected to it, but there was still always a little tether. There was like something anchoring me in. What were some of those things or the practical things that you did to keep that connection and still allow yourself to grieve and go through the process?
It was different in each instance and at different seasons. So I, like you, keep really busy. And I keep things on my calendar further out that I'm working on. Like, for example, I'm working on a big event like right now, like you are.
Mm-hmm.
And every day I wake up, I think to myself, why am I doing this? Like, what am I doing this for? But I know the reason I'm doing it, Lindsay, is because it keeps me accountable to what I'm called to do. And I am a Taurus, so I am loyal to a fault.
No wonder I like you so much.
And so I take my responsibility to other people really, really, really seriously. And so I have a lot of people counting on me like you do.
Yeah.
And I have a daughter, and she has 2 little boys who are my world. And, I do a lot of what I do. I stay up for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so beautiful because it's like that reminder that there's going to be these ups and downs. And I heard this beautiful, I can't remember who I heard it from on Instagram. So we know that this is factual because it was on social media. But it was actually just a perspective of how to think about kind of like those ups and downs, even as we're going through a healing journey, thinking about them as like, if you think of something stitching a wound back together, even like the up days, the down days, that's the motion of like, if you're not watching this and you're just listening, my hand is kind of making this like wave up and down pattern. Like think about that as a thread stitching a wound back together.
Yeah.
And it was what I needed because even what I shared with you and I connected just via phone to catch up before this podcast. And I said, okay, I just got back from this amazing trip. And even on the trip, I remember feeling like I should be happier.
Yeah.
But when I paused long enough to tune into what I was feeling, the truth is it was coming up on a year anniversary to a lot of the big changes that I went through. And my body was remembering just how uncertain this period of time felt last year. And you were so kind to share with me that you still have those moments, even 11 years later.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like we never get to escape the human experience of going through a big change, a big loss. But you're right. It's having those things on my calendar that remind me and keep me anchored into who I am. Even though sometimes I'll look ahead, having this podcast day, I was like, am I going to feel emotionally up for having these conversations? But yet when I put those things out into the future, somehow it does pull me out of a funk because this is my favorite version of myself that I get to be. Yeah. It really is. This is the most authentic, real version. And that's, I think, why we connect so deeply. Yeah. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's, grief is a wave for sure.
Yeah. For someone who's listening to this, and whether they're in the midst of a heavy season or they're just realizing, gosh, okay, hearing you say, I took out a legal pad and I wrote down a vision for my life.
Right.
I know you do this work, so I'm going to pretend that like we're leading a masterclass right now. For someone who has never done this, is it just as simple as just writing out like what I want, or is there a framework you walk people through to help them get even connected to and be able to verbalize what they want for their life?
Yeah, I love this question. So the difference for me is that I get people to put dates on things. So instead of just saying, I want this, or I'm dreaming about that, kind of like just a pretty vision board, right? I get them to have a piece of paper in front of them and date it as if it's 3 years from that day. And after they put that date down, to put their ages, how old they will be, how old their family members will be, right? Because time and aging is non-negotiable.
Unfortunately.
Yes. And when I get that, you get people to do that, it gets them to bring it way out here, kind of nebulous, right, land?
Yeah.
Into, oh, bam, like it's right there. Especially if they have kids.
Yes.
Because of every 3 years with children, you can see some shifts coming in the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I did this a lot in my first business. I mentioned this earlier that I was in network marketing, and I know you were too. I had very big milestones that I wanted to hit in the company based on the ages of our kids and what we wanted. So first milestone was to get to the first level in 90 days so that I could quit my job and stay home with my daughter, because I was 5 months pregnant with her and my son was 2.
Oh, wow.
So my big goal was to quit my job, get him out of daycare, stay home.
Yep.
3-5 years later, we wanted to put him into private school. So I knew again what my target was, what I needed to do, where I needed to be in the company financially to support that. And so what it does for people is it gets them to think about, okay, if this is 3 years out and what we are wanting it to look like, now can we reverse engineer it and start putting some 1-year goals, 6 month, 90 days.
Yeah.
So that every day you can just take some little baby steps.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not so overwhelming.
Yeah. And we've obviously gotten to collaborate on different things before. So I've heard you share that before. And that rocked my world, to actually associate it with the age that I'll be and the age my parents will be,
right.
The age children. Like, think about your significant family members.
Yeah.
And somehow it just makes it more tangible when you start to look 3, 5, 10 years out and realize, life is going to go by whether I'm intentional with how I'm using that time or not.
Right. And it's going to come so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. You know, I used another analogy of so many parents standing at high school graduation going, what just happened? Like, we were not prepared for this financially. We were not prepared for this emotionally. You know, there's just a lot that if you don't kind of see it coming and get prepared, it's a shock.
Yeah. What's your advice on specificity around goals? How specific should they be? What details should we include? And what is the most powerful way to create goals so that our brain actually connects with them in a real way that helps us achieve them?
Yeah. So once I get people to write the 3-year vision, we talk about SMART goals, right? SMART, specific, measurable. That's important. Got to have some metrics on it. Achievable. Some people use the R as realistic. I use it as relevant. Does it align with the vision?
Oh, I like that.
Right. And then time, it's got a time stamp on it. So if we take, let's say, my goal that I had for 3 years out, getting to a certain place in the company I was in, right? I had very specific measurable goals to hit every month, every quarter, every 6 months. And so there were numbers on things, time dates on them. So that's what I mean by reverse engineering it and getting as specific as you can, because a lot of times people will write goals like around weight loss, right?
Yeah.
I want to lose weight. Well, that's not a goal. That's just a putting it out there, dreaming, you know, there's nothing behind that. So I have to get people to tell me, okay, what's the measurement and what's the time frame you want to get there by? And then we can break that down into baby steps to make that happen.
Okay, the SMART framework I have heard before, and that's such a good reminder, but I love the relevancy piece because I've always struggled. This is actually something that will come up often in women that I mentor, is like, okay, I'll set a goal and then they'll say, is that realistic? I actually personally don't love that terminology.
I don't either.
I mean, realistic according to who? Tell me your thoughts on this. Should we be setting realistic goals?
I think the word realistic is different perspectives for different people.
Agreed.
I think most people use the word realistic in a negative way. That's just not realistic.
Yes,
that can't happen for me. So already they're building a wall and excuse as to why it's not going to happen. When you and I both know, we've been in companies where we've seen people break the barrier, right? So I think what it really means is it believable for you? Because if you're already counting it out that it's not realistic and it's not believable, it's absolutely not going to happen.
Yeah. What's the correlation between writing your vision versus just thinking about it? Should we be writing it pen to paper versus digitally?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, because most people, when they just keep it up here, it's just kind of a someday dream, right? When you get it out on paper in writing, and I really encourage you to write it, not type it. It's much more powerful in the brain that way. It just becomes a beautiful, okay, so this is now out there. Like other people could see this.
Now I am accountable.
Exactly. And you know, when I do my vision work with people, like my event that I'm getting ready to do, I will have an entire day talking about all the reasons why you need to write this vision out. I will actually give them 45 minutes to write it. And after we come back from them writing it, I start asking them, how do you feel about it now that you wrote it?
Yeah.
And the answers are varied. So I get a lot of positive, wow, this was so great. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm feeling inspired. This is exciting. And on the flip side, I see a lot of people like, oh my God, like now I got to really do it.
Okay.
Right? So now it becomes the accountability piece, which is why most people won't write it.
Mm-hmm.
Why I have a workbook on Amazon, Vision is Victory. It's a workbook to walk you through the process. The reason I do in-person workshops and events is because most people will buy the book and never do it.
You're like, I'm going to need to make you buy an event ticket just to hold your feet to
write
the
your
fire.
Vision. And, even with having
so
people in the
true.
room, knowing what they're coming to, I've seen people literally like at the time where I let them take the 45 minutes, kind of like saunter away and like, where are you going?
You came here knowing what you were getting into.
Right.
It's so true. Why do you think we resist writing our vision?
Oh, God, so much head trash. Unworthiness is a big one. They don't feel like they deserve it. A lot of self-doubt. A lot of feeling that they won't be supported. Mm-hmm. That was big for me when I started in network marketing. Not smart enough, not this enough, not that enough. Timing's not right. I mean, the list is long.
Yeah. It's true. It's like everything within us actually resists growth. And vision is casting that,
Right.
I'm about to use a fishing analogy as though I've been fishing in the last 30 years. But, it's like casting that out there to say, this is where I'm going. And it's saying, I'm about to grow. So of course, our mind would resist. Of course, our mind would fight us on that.
True.
I know that one of the things you have a unique passion for is this vision work and getting it into the hands of young people.
Yeah.
Will you talk a little bit about that?
When I say young people, I'm talking young adults, like early 20s to early mid 30s. I feel like they are a very overlooked generation right now. And there's a lot happening in their world, especially since COVID and social media. And I interview some of them on my podcast and I get them to reveal to me how they're feeling about their life. Yeah. And there's a lot of drifting. They're feeling like they're drifting and not feeling like they're living out their purpose and don't really have a clue what that is. I think a lot of them come out of school, Lindsay, and this is true, I think, for a lot of my son's generation, coming out of school, getting the degree that they were told would be the right thing to do, go get the job and look around 6 months, a year later going, this is it. Like, this is my life. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. And also they're feeling very disconnected. They're the loneliest generation we have right now. Mm-hmm. Which when I learned that statistic, it surprised me because I thought it was my generation. Yeah. But there's a lot of reasons for that. Social media, I think, plays a big part in that. Mel Robbins has a really good book out right now where she talks about this, how you have communities your whole life. And then when you come out of college and you go into the real world, you're dispersed. You don't have your tribe. And you don't really know what to do about that. So I just feel like they need each other and they need somebody to point them in the direction of why they need to have a vision for their life.
We actually have a lot of 20-somethings who listen to the podcast.
I'm sure you do.
These are probably our fellow ambitious girlies who have a planner and a vision board and all of that. What, if anything, do you shift about the vision framework for someone who's earlier on in life? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like what's helped me get clear on my vision is taking that first corporate job and realizing, oh, this is not it.
Right.
So having life experience to teach me what I didn't want gave me perspective on what I do want. How does someone who is earlier in their life experience and doesn't have as many of those things to just give contrast, how, if anything, do you change the vision framework or is it the same?
I think the obstacles are different. When I'm dealing with somebody, let's say that's, built a career, they've built a family, they've built a life. The hard part for them is to feel like they can make a change. Like they're too ingrained in where they are right now. And it's just, it wouldn't be the smart thing to do to make that change at this point. When I'm dealing with young adults, they are thinking that they're about to do something really wrong if they start following their own path. Because they've been told so many different stories that they feel like they're going against the grain and it scares them to do that.
Yeah, that's so true.
So I think it's just different seasons with different stuff going on.
Yeah, you're right. Because in each demographic, there are unique hurdles and challenges that get in our way of fulfilling on that vision.
Yep.
Will you speak a little bit to that? Because that's what's so beautiful about you and the work that you do. You really have a message that reaches and impacts people at all different stages of life. So in your experience working with people to solidify their vision and then to make tangible moves toward it, where are the biggest ways that people get in their own way, and how do you help them get unstuck?
Gosh, they just retreat. It's so interesting. Like I said, that I get people literally sitting in front of me doing the work and then go out the door, and a large percentage of them won't do anything with it. Mm-hmm. Even though they were in a room with a lot of other people working through a lot of the same head trash and, fist pumping each other going, we got this, right? They still, most of them kind of just walk off and go back to their life. Mm. But the ones who actually do the work, I highly encourage you get a coach to help you through it, because
so true.
I had to have it through both of my careers. I had people holding my hand on the days where I was like, I'm out of here. The ones who would remind me, no, you're not. You have a vision and we believe in you and we're going to help you get there. You're just having one day. Just get on with it. Mm. So you've got to have a really powerful written vision, and you also have to have people around you that believe in you and believe in your vision.
Yeah.
So be careful who you share your vision with.
Ooh, can we talk about that a little bit more?
Yes, for sure.
Why that's so important?
Yeah. So, when I stepped into network marketing away from my job and my business degree job, this was the 80s, Lindsay. So in the 80s and the early 90s, network marketing was very taboo. Mm. People, thought it was just, what are you doing? You're getting into a pyramid scam. You're going to go sell lipstick and leave your corporate job. And it was hard because they were the very people that I thought would be my cheerleaders and my go get them people. Mm-hmm. And they weren't. And I had to learn early on that they just couldn't see what I could see. And because they loved me, they felt like I was about to do something that was going to harm myself.
Yeah.
And so in a way, they're trying to lovingly protect you. And so you just have to kind of take that as it is and just understand that they can't see what you see. And so I, for a long time, just didn't tell them a lot about my vision and my goals and where I was going. Mm-hmm. I just showed them.
Yeah.
I just proved it to them, right?
Yes.
But I had enough people that did believe in me that I went to on the days where it was like, you got to remind me that and I still have those people to this day. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right.
This was a comment that came through. I love to get the pulse of what people are struggling with in the community. We have a text community, and that's often the place where I just get to connect heart to heart with them and just ask, like, what are you dealing with right now? And have them submit questions and topics. And there was one that came through recently. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't reference the sweet soul who sent it in, but she kind of made the comment that, and I felt this way too at certain phases of the journey, almost feeling like strangers were more supportive than the closest people to her.
100%.
And that
it's so hard.
Is so common.
It's very common.
Yeah.
And I always tell the people that I coach that have a very supportive spouse how very grateful they should be for that, because that's not usually the norm, unfortunately, especially if you're in a family like I was, where I was very entrepreneurial and my husband was very corporate sales, which he did very, very well. So it's always so inspiring to me when I see couples building businesses together and be able to do that and support each other in their dreams, no matter what.
Yeah.
But you just have to understand that not everybody can see what you see. And it's not that they're trying to harm you in any way. Mm-hmm. They truly are trying to protect you.
Yeah. And to think like, our relationships become like the fabric of our identity. And when we start to shift something, we're just shifting something in our own life, or so we think, but it actually changes dynamics between people that are a part of our life. And so it just helped me give context to why that felt so uncomfortable, why those moments of tension felt so uncomfortable, but also give me permission that sometimes those weren't the safe people to share my vision with. Yep. Sometimes those were the ones that just needed to see more evidence before they really understood.
Yeah.
And I always think about how it's easiest to kill a vision when it's still in that tiny seed form.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have the fruit. Like now, if someone came along and said, Powerhouse Women is dumb, you're stupid, you shouldn't do this, I'd be like, okay, there's like a couple hundred,
thanks for sharing,
1,000 people who disagree.
Right.
But had someone said that in the beginning, it would have rocked me. And I think there's a previous version of me that would have stopped in my tracks. I would have allowed that head trash.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we support ourselves and support our vision when it is in that seed form if we don't currently have those people around us? Because that can feel really lonely.
Yeah. And that, again, is why you need a really good coach and a really good community to tell you on those days that you are fine. You're just going through a phase.
Yeah.
It's just all part of your vision. But here's the thing I tell people. The way that you keep going, because most people will ask me, how did you keep building your businesses when things were falling apart? Because that happened a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And after my losses. And I told them it's because my vision overrides the circumstances. So you have to have a vision that literally is almost like air to breathe for you. Like you can't not have it.
Yeah.
And so that becomes a very personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, like you're mentioning, you need a lot of people around you reminding you daily, you're good, keep going. But every time you get through something, you grow and you get over that wall and you're through it, you're done with it. You get a little stronger and that vision gets a little anchored further, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's what's happened for you and for me in different ways, is that we've just had a lot of hurdles that our vision, there were days, Lindsay, I wanted to quit Arbonne so bad, I can't even tell you. We called them kit burning days. We just want to burn our Arbonne kits that we got, with our stuff and go, I just never did this.
Just burn it down.
But yeah. But the reason I got up the next morning and kept doing it is because the vision that I held for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I quit and my kids were watching me, that I was giving them an example of, okay, it just got too hard and you can quit. So it's always for me, being accountable, telling people what I'm doing, even though it scares me to death. I also think it's important to note that if you are following your purpose and you are doing God's will for your life, you will feel that pushback because you're about to do something really, really good for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So I've learned if I'm feeling that, I must be going in the right direction.
Yeah. If you feel that resistance. Gosh, that's so much easier said than done to reframe it in that moment. But I actually want to take a step back and kind of out myself on something, just in case anyone else is listening. Because when I hear you talk about like your vision has to be so strong, it's like breathing, like you have to have it. Mm-hmm. I have never felt that depth of connection. I would never use those words to describe my work, for example. I remember that being a big conversation in network marketing, a why, having a really strong why.
Right.
And I'm saying this because I know that I think I almost got distracted thinking, well, I better just stop and just figure out what this why is before I'll ever be successful. Yeah. What do you say to someone like that? Because I know that I obviously have a vision. I'm obviously like not out here just willy-nilly, just creating. I know I'm connected to something deeper. I don't know if I could put it into words. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there was something that was carrying me forward through the adversity of last year. I just don't know that I've ever had that deep connection when I hear people describe it in that way. And then I sometimes will feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah. Well, transparently, my why has changed a lot since I first started doing this, right?
And is that normal? Is that kind of like how it should evolve?
I think a lot of us in the beginning. So for me, starting, I was with a company called Arbonne. Starting with Arbonne, it was a lot of monetary, right? It was a lot of hitting milestones monetarily in the company for the things that we wanted in our household, the lifestyle we wanted, the trips and all of that. I also will transparently tell you, I was very driven early on for the recognition.
Yeah, same.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt very, very validated every time I got recognized for all the awards I got, every rank, all the things, right? And I'll tell you though, this is kind of interesting. So I got to a point in the company where I was right before hitting the big time when you get the car. And I was stuck at that rank for 4 years. And I was the hardest working consultant in the company at the time. All these other women were coming in and having a ball, having fun, and ranking up really fast. And I'm like, what is going on? I was working 3 times harder than they were.
Yeah.
And they sat me down one night and said, hey, it's not what you're doing, it's who you're being. And I was like, oh.
You're like, hold on, let me get this dagger out of my heart.
But that was what my lesson was. What God was trying to teach me is, hey, this isn't about you. And it's certainly not your identity. And so I walked away from that event going, you know what? They're right. And I was getting to a point where I was scaring people off because they were seeing how hard I was working. And they were like, oh, I can't do that. So I had to learn. I was humbled. It was a very humbling experience. But I came out of that going, all right, shift this. And what's so funny about that is I ranked up 3 months later because I changed my perspective and my why.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I don't do what I do for finances. I mean, that's always going to be a piece of our life, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it right now, for me, especially the age I'm at, is about legacy,
Mm-hmm.
and the movement that I want to create and the changes that I want, especially now that I have grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know when I reflect back on that, and network marketing was definitely the place where I saw this pattern. And then I felt the contrast when I stepped into building Powerhouse Women, because the energy of how I was building it was so different.
Right.
I was building more from a wound, trying to fill a wound
Sure.
with the achievement, with like the validation. I didn't feel enough within myself. So I felt like, surely if I just made more money, surely if I had the next
Right.
recognition. And then when you get it and you realize that didn't actually fill what you thought it would,
Right.
it makes you go back to the drawing board and ask the deeper questions.
Yeah.
What do I really want? Why am I doing this?
Mhm.
And I think that's what is interesting about being in this season that I'm in now, because
Right.
I was building this differently, and I am, but now I've changed and what I want has changed, and I still don't know what I want. So I'm kind of out here visionless, other than I know, and maybe this is my vision, that my commitment is to growth, to constant evolution, and to live that out in a way that shows other people a roadmap to their own evolution. That just seems a little like airy fairy.
It's interesting that you're saying that, because I walked in here a few minutes ago watching you record something. And what you were telling everybody was to just be patient.
Carey, don't you dare use my words against me.
That. I was like, I got it. That, sometimes it's not going to come when you think it's going to come.
Mm.
And sometimes there's a season where God's just going, and I think in this season too, where God's going, I just need you to wait on me a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because you running ahead of me has not worked out so great a lot of times in your life. And I feel it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And sometimes very lonely.
Yeah.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't feel like I belong where I was before. And I'm not yet where I'm supposed to be next. And so I'm kind of in that trapeze, have you ever seen that meme or whatever, where you let go of the rope on this end and you're in that midair?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Mm. How do you support yourself when you're in that? It's usually called like a liminal space. It's the space in between.
Yeah, I travel a lot.
We just get that out.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
But what a great way to shake up the energy, to
Right.
re-inspire you. Yeah.
Because I live alone. I know you do too. And there are days, like, I may not have a lot on my calendar on a certain day, and it gets really lonely and long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start getting on, Southwest and booking. Where am I going?
Just close
Where
your
am I
eyes
going
and
next?
like
Yeah.
point to a destination.
And I will bring this up too. So the places that I feel the most at peace and where I go to the most, I have a friend, one of my best friends, who lives in Tulsa.
Mm.
She's retired. We were talking about this earlier too, about how she's just living life, just being. And she's looking at me going, what are you doing?
And I said to you, I was like, she's just being.
Right.
How
How
dreadful.
Looks pretty, it's enticing. But she has a beautiful house there, and it's very peaceful.
Mm.
And I feel at home there because she feels like family. I have another very good friend that lives in Orlando, beautiful house there, that I'm welcome there anytime. I have my own room right off the pool there, and it's just them, her and her husband. And they're like, look, if you need to come here and stay for a month or two. And it's just, I feel at peace there too, because they're family. And then when I go to Oklahoma and I see my daughter. So I think that's the piece for me right now, is that I am always looking to be in an energy where there's people around me that I know I'm protected.
Yeah.
And that I can be myself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you a question that I'm hoping I have permission to ask on a podcast.
My palms are
that
sweating already.
I know. I'm like, do you think about
Uh-huh.
allowing love in again?
I knew you were going to go there. I think this is the Carey Conley question of everybody who loves me, right? Especially my daughter. I know her and her best friend probably pray about that every single day. To this point, I don't feel it.
Mm.
I don't know why that is. I don't feel like I'm healed enough to be a really good partner for somebody, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I was with my husband since high school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a long time.
Yeah.
I never really dated. I mean, because in high school, you just,
it's like the cute boy that's got the locker
you become
near
boyfriend
you.
and girlfriend, and that's what
we're
we
dating
did.
now.
And went through college together, got married, started our family. So it's foreign to me to even think about the idea of going on a date.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, some of the dating stories that I hear from the women my age,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would be, I just don't know. I don't know. But I will tell you this, and I've told my daughter this, is I've told God, please plant that seed in my heart if that's for me. You're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
That and even that for a woman who's listening to this, and I actually asked that from a place of, I never expected my ministry in this world to be to encourage people who are going through divorce specifically. Never in my wildest dreams. And there was a message that actually brought me to tears that came through our text community just a few days ago. And the woman, you can see on the text platform how people's ages. I don't know how or why, but anyways, guys, I can tell how old you are.
Wow.
Anyway, it tells me that. And it was a woman in her late 50s, almost 60, and just shared her heart and said, a friend told me I had to listen to your podcast because I'm going through a similar season. And, this is the first time that I knew it would be okay because I heard someone else talking about it. But I bring all that to say that, even as a 41-year-old woman now navigating, gosh, I just know I have a lot of love to give. And these big questions of realizing that, sometimes when the vision does change and when I've changed so deeply, I'm realizing that growth in this next phase does look like opening myself up to deeper vulnerability than I had planned, had put on my bingo card for 2025.
Right.
But for women who are at stages of life where they're like, again, I never imagined that I would have to rewrite my vision in such a dramatic way.
Right.
I love that. Even just what I'm taking away from that is the prayer of, plant just the seed in my heart of being open to something that I can't right now fathom.
Right.
Especially if someone is living a version of life that, it's like the legal pad just got torn up because that vision is no longer the vision we're walking toward.
Right.
What would you say to the woman listening who is in a season that the previous vision she had for her life has been torn to shreds? She's in that space of what's next, even if it's been a year, 2 years, but she's just still in the space of like, it's quiet.
Yeah.
I'm being asked to just really trust.
Yeah.
What would you say to her?
It's a lot of faith, right? Every day. And I think that's the whole purpose of leaning more on God when you're really there, which I think is what his whole point is, right? It's all about leaning on him for the strength. And I said this from the very beginning when people started asking me early on if I thought I would have another relationship, get married again. And I said to them then, it's going to be divinely orchestrated. Yeah. It's not going to be me getting on dating apps or sitting at bars, starting up conversations. I'm going to be in a scene somewhere where God's just going to go, boom, there you go. And it'll just be like, okay, right time. I'm feeling it. It's just going to be out of my control. So in the meantime, I just really want to encourage anybody who's in that place that there's their purpose for everything. And I know you've said this many times, and there's a lesson in it. And there's something in you, a new creation is being made. And I think, especially women, it's so easy to give up on their dreams and especially when they get into a relationship, put their whole identity into that. And when that goes away, feel like they don't even know who they are. And I think this is the time where you start figuring out what you really love to do yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's such a beautiful time of getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And not listening to what everybody else tells you to do. I could really go off on this, man.
Go off. We're at the end of the day. Go off, queen.
I'll use an example. So people keep telling me, you need to play pickleball.
And?
Get out there. You're going to meet some fun people. You'll get some great exercise. It's really fun. I totally get it. They have it in my building, Lindsay. And I walk by them and they're all having fun. I'm thinking, yeah, I should go down there. And I just don't want to. I mean, I just finally made that.
Do not invite Carey to pickleball. She's not interested.
I don't know why. I've never been super athletic anyway. I was more the pom-pom cheerleader girl than I was the athlete. And I'm not competitive. Like I played tennis for a while when my kids are growing up, and I did it just for the fun.
Yeah.
I didn't care if I won or lost. I just went because we had wine and appetizers afterward, and I got a little exercise, right?
See, that's fun to me. Wine and appetizers. Right. Let's just skip the athletic.
But see, pickleball is intense. I mean, these people.
Listen, I have heard.
And you can get
these
hurt.
people take
I'm
it real
63
serious.
years old, Lindsay. I'm like holding the handrail going downstairs now. You know, I'm at that phase of like, I can't go down.
We got work to do.
We got work to do.
We'll just stick to the wine and appetizers.
Yes. Yeah. So you have to be true to yourself. Right now, what fills me up and what keeps me sane is the traveling that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it gets me out of being in my, alone in my apartment. I can meet new people. I have a real thirst right now for seeing places that I have never seen. I've never been to Europe.
Wow.
Yeah. So I need to make that happen. And that excites me.
Yeah.
And I have friends who they're like, let's go. So for that time being, that's kind of what's keeping me going. So, and people ask me, why are you doing this? And I've moved like 9 times in the past 12 years. People don't call me and say hello. They call me and say, where are you? Because they don't know.
Where in the world is Carey Conley?
Yes, exactly. It's keeping them guessing right now. So I don't know. Maybe that'll change. Maybe I'll have a home one day again that I love. And
yeah. So we talked a little bit about the importance of vision for the younger generation. I think it's equally, if not more important for, I don't even want to say the older generation, but as we age, I see the difference in people in my life, family members, people I'm surrounded by who have a vision and are still living into that versus who at some point just really stop having a vision.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that because we have women of all ages who listen to this podcast. So those who are in their years where their friends or people around them are not really setting that next vision for the place they want to travel or the thing they want to achieve. Why is vision even more important the further we go on in life to keep us vital?
Yeah. Well, I want to preface this by saying, and I'm going to use my best friend again. She is very happy. Retired.
Yes.
She loves it. She has a vision of being
but
with
even
her
that is
family
a vision, right?
Right.
Like there is vision in that.
Yes, there is a vision in that. She loves it. She loves her family's all there. They take a lot of trips together. The key is if you're happy, not having these, I'm going to call them ambitious visions.
Sure. Like
That's
external
your vision.
goals.
Right.
A goal and a vision isn't the same thing, right?
Right. The other part of that is if you've given up on your dream and you're not happy, you're feeling like you let yourself down and that it's too late, that's a whole different feeling and it's not good. So I just really want to tell people that no matter what you've been through, any season of life, that there is still something left for you to do. It's just figuring out what that is if you're not happy, if you feel that tug. But again, Lindsay, so many people die with regret, right? Because it's just so hard to get through the walls of all the things. So, and especially as we age, my energy level is totally different than when I stepped into network marketing when I was 29 years old. Completely different. I was very, very extroverted then, and now I'm not so much. That's changed a lot, especially in the past 10 years.
I'm just laughing about how I just got back from Europe, and when people are like, how was it? I'm like, it was great, but I also love my own bed.
Yes.
That's the level. Yeah. That's the level I'm at in life right now.
Yeah. See, it changes.
Yeah.
Right.
You are just one of my favorite people to drop in with in this form or the wine and appetizers we're going to have after this. And I know you have some exciting things that you're working on. I would love for you to talk about your event and really just where people can connect with you if they're wanting to go deeper into cultivating their vision and have someone guide them through the process, because that mentorship can be invaluable for really clarifying and solidifying what your vision for your life and your business is.
Right. So first thing I will tell you, I've mentioned my workbook a couple times already. So I'm going to give you a link to that ebook so that your listeners can download it.
Would love that. Thank you.
And I always tell everybody, if you take this workbook and you write the vision, I want you to email me and send it to me because I'm serious. I love reading them.
Yeah.
And I can say that to a large audience because very few people do it. It makes me sad, but I love getting them.
Yeah.
So there's that. And if I get it, then I usually say, let's set up a call so I can kind of break this apart a little bit for you.
Yeah.
But I am getting ready to do an event in September called Vision is Victory. And it's an in-person event where I will literally walk everybody through the process live in the room. There'll be a lot of really cool people there. And we're going to give out awards. And I wanted to give you an award, but I know you can't come for being a visionary legend.
And I love awards. I'm an achiever. I love external validation.
Well, there's something to be said about that. So yeah, it's going to be a very special event. I have not done it since 2017, and I feel like it's time to do it. And we're doing it in September in Coronado, California. Because it's Suicide Prevention Month, and we're going to be talking a lot about my young adult community that we're growing and how people can support that. And it's in Coronado. It's beautiful.
Yeah, say less.
Right.
That's all you need to say.
It's just beautiful.
You can see the ocean. Any questions?
Yeah, this place, it's a community center right on the water. It's just amazing. Gorgeous. It's a perfect setting for this type of.
I was going to say, doing this type of work in a setting that is conducive to having you think bigger is so powerful.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're creating the opportunity for people to come and do that is so powerful. We'll link everything in the show notes so people can find it. But I just have one final question for you. And I think in contrast to the vision conversation is this conversation around not always being so forward focused that we forget to pause and acknowledge ourselves in the moment, which I know is something you talk about too. So at the end of every guest episode, we give our guests the opportunity to do that, to pause and celebrate anything at all, big or small, that they want to just acknowledge in this moment. And it's in turn, it's a reminder for all of us to pause and acknowledge ourselves. But when I say, what's a recent Powerhouse moment that you want to celebrate, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I think, it's more personal than it is professional. And I think it usually is for most people. I just feel like I've been doing a lot of personal growth as well. And that's the harder work.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, that's the harder work. And that's the work that most people don't see. And we have to remind ourselves that I have a plaque in my bedroom, Lindsay, that I got from Sharon Lecter that says, even on my worst days, I'm killing it.
Oh, I
love that because it's just a reminder, because we beat ourselves up so much about I should be here and I should be there and I shouldn't have done that. And I have to pause and remind myself, that I've been through a lot, especially this year, personally. Again, another waves, right? And I'm happy with the work that I've done so far. So I just pause and I'm just grateful for that I've come this far.
You are remarkable.
Yeah, so are you.
You really are.
Thank
and I'm
you.
just so grateful to have you in my life. I'm grateful to get to share your wisdom with our community, and we'll make sure to link everything so people can find and follow and hopefully attend the event in Coronado. I highly recommend it because, man, especially getting to do that work in the fall in preparation for a new year, not waiting until January, not waiting for a new year, is so powerful. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.